Guys, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if this is your first time, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. This is the first episode in my YouTube series. If you watched my intro video, then you know that I am starting a new series on YouTube. And for a few of you who don't know, I used to have a podcast channel and I stopped, but I am going to continue that. So it's going to be like a video podcast-ish. And so the title of the series is For When You Need to Remember. And the idea, I got this idea a while ago, but I decided to just give it a shot now because we're going into a new year, and a lot of times mid-year, second, third quarter, we tend to forget a lot of things. And so this is just a series on different subject matters where we are reminded of what we need to remember, basically. And so on this episode, I have with me my friend Joy. Joy, please introduce yourself.
Okay, my name is Joy Ayuwo. What else am I saying about myself?
What do you do? What do you enjoy? Fun facts. Let them get to know you.
I'm a lawyer. I am a relationship coach per excellence.
I'll link her Instagram for videos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am a children's church teacher. I'm a wife. I'm a mom. I enjoy singing, I enjoy reading, I enjoy swimming, even though I cannot swim. I enjoy spending time with friends and family and, just laughing and doing nice stuff. And I enjoy worshiping God particularly. I'm a Christian. Have I not said that? I'm a Christian and I love Jesus with all of my heart.
So before we get into the gist of the video, how did we meet? Do you remember? How did we know each other?
Okay, so Purple and I have been friends. What's this accent? She and I have been friends since 2016.
Yeah.
Boy, that's like 8 years, 7 years.
Bruh. 7 years ago.
7 years and counting. We've been friends since 2016. We were in 200 level. We knew each other, Sha. I used to come to her hostel to see my friends. Deborah used to be in our house. There was our collective friends now. Right, so I come to see her and some other people. And then I just knew of Sheyi, and she was my classmate, first of all. What am I talking about?
Well, same faculty.
Same class, right? So we knew each other and, hello, hi, friends. So towards the end of the year, I got an internship at a law firm close to school.
Was that before you moved into Emerald?
Yes. I moved into Emerald after, to begin that internship.
Okay.
So I found out that she got an internship in the same firm. So I'm like, okay, I'm not going to be alone. Okay, let's do this. So that's how I met, I don't know, I think it's me that came to meet you. We have the same firm, we're in the same place, and I'm also going to be in Emerald. So, we can be going together and all that. So she was, because she's a cool babe, so she's like, okay. So when I moved into Emerald, my room was not the best. And her room was divine at the time. So I stay in her room a lot and we used to just get ready together. Yeah, basically go to office together, come back, plan dinner. That's actually how we became friends. Yeah.
And so this video is going to be about seasons, right? Times and seasons, feeling stuck, feeling like you are not moving and things like that. So we're going to go right in, and our first question is, what was the most difficult season of your life? This question has baby questions. Can you name more than one, or a season where you felt like you were the only one going through difficulty and stuff?
Okay, I think I definitely have more than one. The first one I can think of, I know that I actually dealt with being stuck particularly, was in the middle of law school when we had to go home because of COVID. So this was 2020. You can relate, right?
Yep.
So 2020, we had started law school in February, and after March, or somewhere in the middle of March, they said we should go home because of COVID. And this go home was an indefinite go home, right? We didn't know when we were going to be back. And there's like a clock, there's supposed to be a clock for these things. You finish law school in a year and you serve and everything. I mean, I had other plans like marriage in mind. So it just felt like that break or that hiatus was going to delay a lot of other things. And then the second one was when I had my precious baby girl, or after I had my baby girl. So yeah, like after delivery, that postpartum beginning period was a very hard time of my life. It was very hard, and yeah, is that have I answered?
Yeah, that was a difficult season. I can relate with the law school one too, because COVID, I think almost everybody that lived through COVID can relate to being stuck,
generally,
to be honest. But mine felt a bit extra because towards the end of COVID, when people started coming out and stuff, I couldn't come out because at that moment my parents were paranoid and they didn't want me to get COVID and stuff and stuff. So I was at home for longer, right? And then even my friends that lived 5, 10, 15 minutes away, I couldn't see them. On my birthday, they came. They came and we're outside. We couldn't go into the house because we didn't want. My parents were like all the wash your hand, wash your legs, steam, do all these things before you can enter the house. Yeah, so inhale steam and all of those things. And so I didn't just bother with them coming in. And so that was a season where I felt like I was stuck, up to the point where I had to move in with my sister. Yeah. So the second question is, how did you and are you navigating these seasons or new chapters in your life? How do you navigate new seasons?
Okay, so for the first season I mentioned, I honestly don't think I can say genuinely that I navigated it very well. I spent a lot of time just being sad and upset about the situation. Like I'm like, yo, can I move on with my life? I really felt stuck. And one thing I did, which I wish I did better, was to still take action. They were holding lectures, online lectures at the time, and I tried my best to keep up with them, just so at least I know that I have a complete note, right? When I would miss out, I'll save it, go back to it. Eventually I know I watched every lecture that was posted. But when it came to studying, I'll start with OneDrive.
Those were dark times. Good.
I'll start with OneDrive this week. Okay, now I'm gonna attack this and this. Before you know it, Drive has died, and it was difficult majorly because there was no end in sight. So
yeah, you didn't know when.
I didn't really know how to study for the exams that were coming when I didn't know when they would come, and it was a mess up of schedule, mess up of timing, mess up of planning. And for someone like me that likes to plan and likes to foresee things and count my days and say, okay, I divide accordingly, it was just so indefinite, and I'm like, yo. So I spent most of that time just I'm trying to remember. Okay, I know in that period I tried to do some jobs. I did some voiceover jobs. Do you remember
that one?
The one I was asking you for. Okay, 2 of us did it now. Yes. So I remember doing some voiceover jobs. Okay, at least let me make small money. I don't know what else I occupied myself with in that period. So let me just say the way I navigated it. I don't talk too much. Is I tried to still be involved in schoolwork, which is keeping busy regardless of the hiatus and the break. But what I would say, I don't know if I should say what I could have done better, but I know that I could have still just given myself to it more regardless of the uncertainty of time, and maybe spend less time. So in retrospect, there's some things that when you come out of them, you feel like we could have handled better. But sometimes when you think back, truly, you wonder if could I have been any different from what I was.
Really have
because I was really not happy about the whole thing, and staying at home indefinitely. Anyways, the truth is, you can always do things better. So I guess I could have removed my mind from the fact that things are being delayed and trusted God and just gotten ready for my exams and be prepared, right? And then for the second difficult season, how did I navigate it? I think this one I did a better job with navigating. I started off with a lot of difficulty and just stress and trying to get used to the new life and everything. And eventually, there were times when I had sort of depressing periods, mood swings, a lot of up and downs with my mood and everything. And so I decided to take steps to seek counseling, to speak to someone, to actually get support in that period, as opposed to just wallowing in situation and feeling like, oh God, this is my new life. And I took active steps to coming to appreciate where I now was or where I was at the time, so that I could love it instead of dislike it, because I knew that innately I loved it. I loved my baby. I loved the fact that I had, and it was what I wanted. But because of how difficult it was, there were days where I would question, okay, was I really ready for this? Was it time? Was it the right time? And another thing is having the right friends around me that would constantly remind me of, the fact that, okay, see you, it's actually fine. Like, this is a good change. It's change, but it's a good change. And so I guess how I say I navigated that one was I relied on God to help me a lot, and I sought help when I needed help. I didn't just stick to myself and say, okay, I'll be fine. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Seeking help. That's one thing a lot of people find really hard to do, coming out of themselves to ask.
I can't do this.
I can't do this. So the third question is, how do you handle FOMO? FOMO means fear of missing out. I think I experience this like every 2 business days at this point in time. God, I beg.
So with FOMO, I think over the years I've learned to sit things out and be happy with it. I'm maybe not happy, just okay.
Yeah.
Right. I know that earlier in school, particularly, there will be things that would happen that, boy, I will be so upset. Why am I not part of this? Why am I missing out on this? Like, why there was this thing that happened, though this one was legitimate, and I feel like if it happens now, I will still have the same reaction. In school, we're very big on birthdays, my friends and I. So every birthday we would have something, somewhere we are going. So one of our friends' birthdays, we had, I think, the Takwa Bay, Bessie's birthday. Everybody was going to Takwa Bay.
What happened that you didn't go again?
I had fellowship commitments. I had to attend the general fellowship, this thing that the said leaders must go for. And so it's me that was now representing fellowship on my friend's birthday.
Oh, I remember.
I was so upset. My God. I think I cried. Like, they actually dressed up and went. I mean, I was in school doing the work of the Lord, so important. So yeah, that one I really, it was hard for me. So there were always those things that would happen, and I'm just like, I wish I was in this place. I wish I was in this place. But like, when you grow up and when you now actually become an adult, you leave school, when you're no longer in the place where you can be at everything.
Yeah.
I've now had to deal with a lot of things that would happen, with people that are close to me, but I cannot be there for many reasons, either distance or timing of life. Like, there were some events I couldn't go for when I was pregnant because I just cannot go for it. There were some things that now that I've now even given birth to my baby, it's even a lot more complicated to go for stuff. So, but like, I think how I handle it now is I can either try to avoid it. If that thing is truly important to me, I can work hard at being there to avoid the FOMO. But if I know that by all means I cannot avoid, like, I cannot be there, I think one thing I remind myself of something that you can't be part of everything. That's one. You can't be part of everything. And FOMO shows itself in different ways. It can show itself when it comes to events. It can show itself when it comes to experiences. It can show itself when it comes to, certain friendships, or maybe friendship groups, or certain cliques. Like, maybe there's just something that you see online and you feel like being a part of it, but you are not part of it. Right? Make peace with that. And so
it's just life.
And other than events and experiences, FOMO also shows itself when it comes to like phases of life. I think that's the grandest kind of FOMO. Like, I have an example. When I was pregnant, I wasn't working per se. I was doing like my private stuff, but I didn't have a structured job. And you will see posts and everything of people getting ahead in their career, and like even getting promotions, and people who are on your level, like same class, getting promotions, attending conferences, doing things, and you will not be like, oh,
God, when am I spoon? God,
like how do I like how am I going to catch up? Those type of things. And so I think over the course of this year, particularly, one of the major lessons that God has taught me is the importance of understanding your phase and your season, which is basically what we're talking about today. I was in the season where I was growing a baby, and eventually I had given birth to that baby and now nurturing that baby. It's not even on a comparison. It's not about comparison, but in those other people's lives, that isn't happening.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not as if anybody is missing out on anything on both sides. It's just that we are all on different paths. And so if you want to sit down and cry about how, oh God, my career is not going on, you have a beautiful marriage, you've given birth to a beautiful child, and you're taking care of her. Like, you have the kingdom mandate to take care of that child and birth, that child, and when she's now present, make sure that she's okay. While you begin to kickstart on other things, right? So I think I would just say how I've been able to handle it is to understand that, one, everybody is doing their own thing, and as far as what you're sure that what you're doing is your thing, you'll be fine.
Exactly.
On the side of events and stuff, the truth is that you cannot be everywhere.
You're not omnipresent.
You cannot be everywhere. If it's something that is okay, you can stream. We are stream and be alright. If it's something that I think is a contentment mindset that helps with handling FOMO, yes. Because it may still pain you when you find yourself missing out on certain things. But when you have a base level of contentment that, you know what, even if you pay me nothing, it's not deep, it's okay. You'll move on. So, and I think when you apply these lessons, part-time, you handle it better in future than you handled it the last time. So
exactly. And something comes to mind, a phrase I learned earlier this year. A lot of times we try to get with work what people have gotten with grace. Now, if certain people have access to some certain opportunities that you feel like you don't, sometimes it's not a hard work thing, sometimes it's not a you thing, sometimes it's just life, it's just their kairos moment,
and it's their turn.
It's just their turn, it's just their time. And so it's important to not let it get to you too much and just focus. I like what you said, just basically look inward and appreciate where you are, what you're doing, and it's okay to strive to be better in that, but like not comparing in that way. So that makes sense. Okay, so how have difficult seasons made you better? How have you evolved?
You've definitely made me better. I know that if I want to speak about this year and changes that I've had to go through, I think one thing is it has made me more aligned with God's will, because your things are not particularly things are not particularly working out the way you would plan by yourself, and so you're kind of forced to submit, accept, and just, okay, God, if this is what you want, no problem. And that doesn't mean that before then you were not keen on doing God's will. It just means that sometimes when you have set things in motion by yourself, it's easy to assume this is also what God wants. We're moving, right? But like this year, at the beginning of the year or at the end of last year, I had to leave my job for some reasons, and then I was already pregnant, and so I basically had to just be at home for the period. And so I wasn't earning as I would have loved to. I didn't have a job, but I found that I was able to gain clarity in a lot of areas that I had been seeking clarity in, purpose-related stuff. I was able to truly come to terms with a lot of things without the distraction of work and the stress of work. I was able to rest and focus on building that pregnancy, growing that pregnancy. I say building, and so one of the ways it made me better was truly coming to appreciate the truth that life is in phases. Because I constantly had to remind myself that this is part of your life. Like, there's something that happens with us when we find ourselves in certain situations. It's as if, oh God, this thing is delaying what I'm supposed to be doing.
Let it just
Oh,
happen
this
and
thing,
let it go.
like, can I move on to the next thing? Oh God, this thing is a I'm
It's
stuck
like
in
an
a
interruption.
kini. Yes, that this is interrupting my life. I'm stuck in a limbo. I'm stuck in. It's not. I'm not moving ahead, or other people have gone ahead and I'm still here. Being particular to the example of motherhood and pregnancy and everything, because there's so much else that can be going on in your own life, which is not that example. But being particular, I realized that, okay, for a woman who wants to marry and have children, the part of growing that child has to happen. And there are certain situations you find that may happen that you may now need to take a break from everything else, and what you're still doing is legitimate. Like, it is part of your life. It also often seems as though some other things are that are more worthwhile to do. Like, I'm chasing my career, maybe I'm chasing ministry, I'm achieving things
out there.
Yes, you can come and talk about it. Come on. But like, when you're building quietly, and especially when it's not a kind of pregnancy where you want to be posting. Okay, 6 months now, 7 months. It's literally just you and your family and people that know you, right? So I would say that it has taught me to appreciate phases of life and know that every single phase you find yourself in, there's something to learn. I've learned a lot in this season. I've become more conscious, more aware of, more rooted in God's will for my life in most areas that that I know right now. I've learned contentment as well, to just, okay, what are the most important things in my life now? Am I on the right page with God? Am I on the right page with my family? Am I good with my friendships? Am I living a healthy life? Am I living a healthy lifestyle? Is my devotion constant? If you can say yes to these things, then like everything else will fall in place. So, especially as Christians, it has taught me patience as well. It has taught me patience, taught me how to wait things out. Another thing it has taught me is how to live in the present, or how to appreciate the present, because a large portion of my life I've spent looking forward to the next thing.
It's so tempting.
You finish high school, okay, let's start uni. Okay, finish one part of uni, the final year, let's come here. I need to save. Okay, law school, okay, can marriage come now? Okay, now, all right, let's do it. Okay, now you're pregnant, can the pregnancy
like rat race, you never rest, and consistently just
it just like for the next thing. And if we can truly learn to take in fully, and not to sound like the whimsical writers on Instagram, taking the moment and just like be in it,
romanticize everything. Let's romanticize my day.
Put that word. Romanticize your life. Okay, if you insist. So like, not to sound that way, but truly, let's even from a Christian point of view, taking in every moment and being grateful for every moment. Making sure to live every season with what God planted there for you. I feel like we constantly are in a rush to live certain seasons that because they're not desirable, and we forget to actually ask God, what do you want me to learn now? There's always something to learn. There's always a character development to happen. There's always something to be better at, right? And so when you see that there's no job, get better at your relationships, get better at your exercising, get better at your devotion. Exactly, there's always something to do. So that's something I've learned. I was getting passionate there.
So, question 5: what did you wish you knew before these stages of your life? Okay, I think we already talked about what will you do better, but what did you wish someone had told you before these stages?
I guess it would be, it would be tied to the things that I've said I learned. Just basically, any phase you find yourself in is still a phase. I feel like I kind of had to learn that myself by experience, that life is in phases. And what I feel like when you hear that thing normally is often just means there's always one thing after. Okay, when you finish secondary school, you do high school, university, you marry, and like it's as if when it's said, it means maybe life is in stages, as in, and then that
One
kind of
has
even
to
puts
come
pressure on,
before
pressure on
another.
some on people most of the time. Like the whole, oh yeah, when you finish school, you marry. When you
Yeah.
marry, you have a child. When you have a child, you do this,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's more the understanding we had. But what I wish I had known better before going into these situations and periods, and what I know better now, is that there are different things that happen in your life that are pieced together to make your life.
Yeah.
And so that's the explanation of life is in phases. Not every phase would be expected, not every phase will be typical.
Be enjoyable.
Sometimes it's a lot of obscurity, but it's still a phase that is happening. Like your life is happening,
Yeah.
days are counting,
Yeah.
hours are passing.
Getting
It's not, you're
older.
getting older, life is happening. So because it's not, there's no like, you don't have the preferred activity or the so-called, see, activity does not equals fruitfulness, right? You can be not so busy or active, but you can be fruitful.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, there are different areas to exercise fruitfulness, and for Christians, the most important and most valid area is spiritually.
Exactly.
Because there's nobody that can tell me today that if they're in a place where they don't have work and they don't have what they desire, their heart desires that's come, prayers are not yet answered, that they cannot be winning souls.
Yeah.
They cannot be discipling people. They cannot
growing.
be, growing spiritually. Those ones will always happen. I don't
Yeah.
think there's ever anything stopping you from growing spiritually.
Yeah.
So if at least you know that it's not that you're lazy or you're complacent or you're just there, you are working hard to get the things that you want to get and to move into new phases, but you are maximizing the one that you find yourself in. And so one thing I would always say is, don't get out of that phase and then regret not handling it better or pruning it as much as you could have, or getting as much as taking advantage of it. Because see something, I feel like I'm in rush hour now in my life, because this year, as much as I was able to maximize some of those spaces to do some things, I'm doing some things now that I'm like, you could have been doing this all year long. I don't know if it's pregnancy that was holding me back. I was making me tired. Because I knew I kept on saying, okay, in my career, even if I'm not working, I want to be taking courses, I want to be doing. Now, I'm so busy immersed in learning stuff that are related to my career. But I'm like, if I had been doing this all year, there will be no FOMO.
Exactly.
I will be on LinkedIn, reading the things with them, commenting, even though I'm not particularly working.
FOMO is a sign of joblessness.
Low-key, if you're busy, you won't be bothered that you're missing out. If
you were focused on or occupied with what you were doing, it would be hard to. You might feel it, but you will not.
You won't stay
dwell in it.
Yes.
Yeah, it won't become such a huge thing you can't move on from.
So like,
you
now start. Cause so I told myself not to regret, because at the end of the day, I still. But like, there's so much more I could have done.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just it. Yes.
Okay. So question 6 says, what will you advise someone who feels like they keep going from one difficult season to another and they can't catch a break?
The truth is, first and foremost, my heart goes out to you.
We're sending all our love and affection.
My heart goes out to you, in a massive force, because it's a difficult place. I feel like you may even be able to answer this question better, because you have experienced what it feels like to constantly be bombarded with issues, right? But like, I'll just say what I wouldn't particularly be able to speak, on a first-hand basis on something like this. One thing that can flow from what I've said before is, no matter how difficult the season is, right, there will always be something to learn from it. And if you cannot necessarily get what you want, at least you can be a better person. So it's better to be a better person than to come out just a disgruntled person who is tired of life and has not been able to get what they desire, right? There's that, and then there's the gift of character development that difficult seasons give us. One way or the other, it's just like, okay, on to the next. Now you find yourself in this one, you're like, okay, you want to show yourself to me, I have some experience for you. You practice what you have learned, you you give your best at it, right? And then another thing I want to is that you are God's strongest soldier.
Those people are
Yeah,
unlisting themselves from that.
just it. And but then again, I also understand. I don't want to just give advice. Also understand how frustrating it can actually be.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Can I just
can
breathe?
can I just have one thing in my life going well? Can I like just does it have to always be difficult? Because at the end of the day, I don't know that that is God's will for our lives. We may find ourselves in certain periods that Christians like to call the wilderness period, where it's just a season of toughness. Like it's season to tough it out. It's not gonna be rosy, right? But imagine going from one wilderness period to another, to another, to another. It can either give birth to a very strong person or a very troubled person.
Broken person.
So one thing I'll say is figure out what is happening. I don't want to just throw advice. Figure out what is happening. Sometimes it may be that God wants to truly train you. Sometimes it may be that the enemy is throwing arrows.
Exactly.
So you need to know which one you are fighting. I would not just throw out advice and say, "Oh, learn from it." What if you are supposed to be fighting it and you are just right? So figure out that God, this thing that's happening, is it you that is allowing it, or are my enemies coming after me? If the answer is the second one, take the warfare route too, and break out of any season or any prolonged back-to-back suffering. I don't know if that's I don't know really, but so that's just it. Figure out which one is happening and treat it accordingly. But in the meantime, while you figure it out, stay on God. The Bible will always provide succor and calm to you. And friends, make sure you have people around you that you can rest with, lean a shoulder, lean on.
Wish I get
right?
shoulders that you can.
Don't do it alone.
Yeah.
Don't do it alone. Don't isolate yourself so that the enemy doesn't suggest things to you. Always have people to remind you that see, you can do this. Regardless of what's happening. So within the space of 2020, 2021 and during 2020, I know there was a period when life was toughing you out.
Almost in every area of my life. So I feel like one thing that I learned was, as much as it feels like everything is going bad, that's never really truly the case. There will always be some particular things that are okay. There will be some particular things you can be grateful
that you are healthy.
Exactly. Or you have salvation, or you have provision, or you have this, you have that. So as much as there are big problems, there will always be things to be thankful for. That's one. Number two is that it will not last forever. A bunch of the things that I've been through, some of them are stopped. Most of them, I'm in a new phase.
You are tired now. You're doing things.
Doing things. So it's like, it feels in the moment, it feels like, oh my God, this is going to last forever. I'm going to die. Not really. At the end of the day. The third thing I've learned is you're actually not going to die. So as much as it feels like, oh my God, this will break me, I won't be the same, or I'm going to be so hurt after this, can I move on? You actually can. You just need time, right? You actually can. A lot of things I thought would be the end of me have left me feeling stronger and better. And I've learned, and then I'm able to I'm able to support or help people that might be going through. And just tell them what I did, like we're doing now, and just advise them, give them a helping hand and stuff, right? So tough times don't
never last.
Tough people do. Yes. How do you know the difference between a just be patient and a press into prayer season? You understand?
Yeah. I think this is related to kind of what we just talked about. I mean, there's always discernment, right? And I think discernment comes from an active prayer life and an active relationship with God. When you're constantly in tune with God, you're sensitive to know what is happening.
What's going on.
Right. And another thing is, I even feel like being patient does not even remove the requirement to press into pray. How did we say it?
Press into prayer to lay hold
of something. Because the fact that you're praying consistently about something doesn't mean you are badgering God or you are
Yeah,
impatient.
exactly.
Impatience only shows itself when worry shows up. Like, God, why has this thing not yet happened?
Yeah.
So I feel like both can merge, right? That okay, oh, I'm willing to wait it out, but I'm willing to, as in, I
I'm
will
still
continue to pray
praying
on this
as
because
I
there are
wait.
truly some things that you need to push,
Yeah.
pray until something
Yeah.
happens.
And sometimes the prayer is
Right.
even to supply you strength
Strength
to
to
wait,
wait, exactly.
so that you don't give up
To
along
keep
the
you
way.
in the
Yeah.
right Christian mindset of
Exactly.
believing in God.
Yeah.
And so, another angle would then be like what we've talked about before, like, okay, how do you know if it's just be patient on God, God is working this out,
Yeah.
or cast some demons out of this situation,
Yeah.
right? Because there are some times that is the enemy that is the stumbling block.
Yeah. So
is the enemy, and there's some things that you need to. So I feel like prayer. That's why another reason why tongues is important. They are just covering ground,
exactly.
right? And then even while praying, always make room. God, if it's you that is making, as in it's you that wants me to wait, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on you. But if it's that useless devil, I rebuke it and I cast out every form of delay, and just stay on it. And then discernment, I feel like as you pray, God will make things clearer.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know which is actually which. So
yeah. So, as we're rounding up, as we're wrapping up, what would you like everyone to remember from this episode?
Okay. One thing, God is on your side.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Whenever you find yourself questioning things and just like, yo, is it that you don't want me to prosper? Or maybe you are seeing others and wondering why is their own working out?
God,
and why
have
is
you
my own not
forgotten
working
me?
out? If you can just understand that God is always on your side, and He has you in mind, He has your best interest at heart.
Yeah.
I feel like this is one of the things that have helped me in life. When I have a resolution of the fact that God actually has my interest at heart. And I ask myself, oh yeah, if He does, then whatever is happening now will not break me. Like it won't ruin me.
Exactly.
It will still work out for my good. So let me just be patient, right? And then another thing you should take out is we all have different journeys. We all have different journeys with God. If you ever want to analyze where you are and why you have not gotten to certain places, you should be analyzing yourself and your journey based on what it should be like between you and God, not based on other people's journeys. Like maybe God has given you some kind of vision about certain things and you realize that you're lagging behind because of laziness or lack of resources or whatever. Let that be your basis of comparison. Like, God, this is what you promised me. I've not seen, not this is Shola's zone. See the way she's a fellow in something. She has Sheplin scholarship. She had this one. She's married. She has a child now. Look at me, I'm still here.
Yeah.
See, comparison will never finish.
It won't.
It will never finish because see, if you marry now, you marry and you have child and your children grow up. Do you know that when you get to the point of your children marrying, they're still comparison. That so person's child has given birth. My own has not given. You want to compare till you grow old and grey. There will always be something to compare about. So just learn contentment and God is always on your side.
Exactly. I know. Remember that it won't last forever. Like I said, it will only make you stronger. And the Bible actually says that God will not allow you go through things that
you cannot handle.
So just trust that God has your back. And at the end of the day, like I like to do something when I'm going through a really tough time. I like to imagine the future when I look back at it and I laugh. And I feel like that helps me get through stuff. That one day I'll look back and this will be a thing to haha about, kiki about. Like I won't be as upset and stuff. So yeah, basically. So if you're going through a tough time, please come back to this video.
Tough times never last.
Tough people do. And share it with someone that needs to hear it. It's going to be available on YouTube and on Anchor for your listening pleasure. So yeah, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know your favorite part. Also answer the questions in the comment section as well if you would like. Let us know how you are also going through tough seasons and all of that. So,
I really enjoyed this. Thank you for having me.
So our second guest How have you handled difficulties in the past 5 months of your existence? It must be really tough, right? How have you been going through it? Tell us your secret. The reason you have such nice skin is because you're never stressed.
This is the result of my
Yes, so
wonderful seasons.
thank you for showing my video.
It's alright.
That's doing my torso that was showing up my face. So
How can you have this cutie and be sad or depressed? I mean,
Missy baby. Yeah, come, let's go.